Okay, we are going to work these problems. I know it is just on notebook paper, and I have given you one that's all typed out. Just trust me that they are the same questions. Be sure that you take note of all the steps. Just having an answer written down will not help you on the test and will not help you in class. So be sure you understand the steps. I'm going to be very transparent in the fact that I'm mad at myself with the first problem because I have given you something that's a little unfair in this step right here, and I'm going to talk about that. I think it's a little above 7th grade and might be confusing. But let's go ahead and write down PEMDAS to the side. We do not really have a set of parentheses where operations are involved except for exponents. We'll go ahead and do all of the exponents at one time. Remember in this first problem that the exponent is only dealing with what is exactly in front of it. If I had had a set of parentheses around the negative and the 3, holding them together, then the 2 would have been including the negative, and it'd be negative 2 times negative 2. But here, we are just going to start with negative, and then we have 2 3's that need to be multiplied. The next, this is where I'm mad at myself. I know you see these parentheses and you think, well, we're holding the negative to the 3. Well, that's not exactly the case. If the 2 was out here, then the 2 would be talking about everything in front of it in the parentheses, because that's what's in front of it is those parentheses. But instead, the 2 is just talking to the 3 again. The parentheses here are actually doing nothing except separating the positive and the negative here, which is sometimes what they do. So this one is actually, and I understand confusingly, still just the negative first, and then the 2 is just dealing with that 3. So it's negative 3 times 3. And yes, I understand that that could be confusing to you. And then finally, this 2 dealing with the 3's, which is just a positive 3 times a positive 3. So one negative stays negative, one negative stays negative, and 2 positives are a positive. Then I am down to negative plus a negative. If you need to, put your ghost 0 in front and put it straight through your calculator. You'll get negative 18 plus a positive 9. Again, put that 0 in front if you need to, and you're going to end up with negative 9. All right, let's look at the next question. Again, I can write PEMDAS. These are pretty simple to start with. And so there's not really real parentheses, except remember that our absolute value, you can treat those as parentheses if you want to rewrite the problem in that step. It would be 0.34 minus, and then this would come out as a positive 8.64 divided by 4/5. Now I have decimal fraction, so I am for sure going to box top and get that fraction back to a decimal. So I have 0.8 for that number. It's important to write the rest of my problem each time. I know you don't like to write, but it is smart to do that. Then use your calculator and carefully put in 8.64 divided by 0.8, and you're going to get 10.8. And now I just want you to think about it. If I'm starting with only 34 cents, but I owe $10 or something, is my answer going to be positive or negative? So I hope you know that if you have $0.34, if you just have 34 cents to your name, but you owe $10, or you spend $10.8 or $10.80, you will owe $10.46. You will owe money, and that would be negative. Put it straight through your calculator, and that first number being positive, you don't have to do the 0 trick. It's a positive number. All right, let's take a look at problem number 3. Remember your PEMDAS, okay? You don't really have any parentheses. So we are going to go straight into exponents, and then since we don't have any multiplying and divide, we'll just do our add and subtract. So let's take a look. the 3 goes just for the 2, so it's 1 negative, and then I'm going to put 2 down 3 times. Then I will solve 2 3 times. And then, here we go. I have these parentheses. So I'm going to put -2 3 times. Okay. 1 negative stays negative. 2 times 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Plus, this makes a positive 4 times a -2. 4 times a negative is a -8. All right. Well, this negative plus a positive 8, you can put a 0 if you need to, would cancel out and be 0 plus -8. So 0 plus -8 is just -8. So problem number 3 is -8. Let's take a look at problem number 4. Now we have a lot of fractions, and I know that you're concerned about that, but I promise you we're good with fractions, and we're not going to worry about that. So go back to thinking about your PEMDAS, and we are going to do parentheses, don't have any, exponents, don't have any, multiply and divide, we do have a division. So let's take a look at this step right here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this, right, to an improper fraction. You guys are so good at that. I've been so proud of you. So this becomes 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15. This becomes 15 over 4. Okay? And then how do I divide fractions? Page 4. Okay? Page 4 will remind you this changes to multiply. And then I need to flip this fraction. So instead of 5 over 4, it becomes 4 over 5. Now I have a multiplying fraction. I know what to do. I'm going to go straight across top and bottom. But I do want to reduce first. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 4 once. So I end up with 3 times 1 is 3. And 1 times 1 is 1. So all of this in my box here comes out to 3 over 1, or 3, right? So I'm going to write the rest of my problem down. I've got 1/5 minus 3 over 1. I'm so glad that I've reduced and got that down small, because how do I add and subtract fractions? That's our butterfly. So 5 times 3 is 15. 1 times 1 is 1. Bring up my subtraction. 5 times 1 is 5. So I end up with a denominator of 5. 1 minus 15 is -14. I am very happy for you to leave that as your answer. But I could put 14 in the box. Remember when we box top, 14, the top number goes in. Divided by 5, it goes 2 times with 4 left over. So 2 4/5. Don't forget that this was a negative answer. I will accept either one of these. Okay, let's go take a look at problem number 5. It looks like a doozy, but you guys should be getting really good at these. Remember, I say that you do everything on top and then everything on bottom. So we are going to treat the top as if the whole thing was in parentheses. And since I have a decimal here, I want to go ahead and change my fraction to a improper fraction and then box top it and get a decimal. So I'm going to say 5 times 12 plus 3. And now I'm not going to do 5 times -12 plus 3, because then I would be mixing my operations. I want to just get the fraction to an improper fraction first. And so I end up with 63 over 5. Now that 63 over 5, that is a negative number. And 63 divided by 5 is going to get you 12.6. Now, I could do that in my head because I am actually just looking at this, and I know it's going to be 12 point, and then whatever my fraction is, which I know is 0.6. So I know that that number is negative 12.6. So knowing that, now I've got 0.54 plus negative 12.6. I'm also going to look at this plus a negative, and I know that means subtract. So I have 0.54 minus 12.6. So using your calculator, that first number is positive, so I'm going to put it just straight through. 0.54 minus 12.6, I'm going to get a negative $12.06. Okay, so all of my top equals negative 12.06. All over, I know 1/2 is 0.5. Okay, so you should be working all of this wherever you have the space to work it. I know your space is different than mine, so be sure that you are showing all your work. Okay, you have found a way to simplify this down to this nice, neat number. Once you have that, and you should have this number still in your calculator, unless you needed your calculator to tell you that 1/2 was 0.5. But we have, if you do, go ahead and put your goes. If you need to start from a clean calculator, start with a 0 to get that number 12.06 in your calculator. Once it's there, hit divide by 0.5, and you should get negative 24.12. Negative 24.12. And I got that from that step there. All right. All fractions, and we can do it. PEMDAS tells us, what are we going to do first? Yeah, no parentheses, no exponents, multiply and divide. We have a division step. So we're going to tackle that first. I know that I'm going to keep my first fraction, change that to multiply, and flip that around to 8/1. Multiply straight across top and bottom. And, well, I'm going to actually come in here and I'm going to cross reduce first. 2 goes into 6 and 8. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 goes into 8 4 times. Here we go. 5 times 4 is 20, and 3 times 1 is 3. So now my problem reads 1/3 plus 20/3. Guys, if our denominator is the same, we can just keep that denominator and just add the top. So 1 plus 20 is 21. And that actually simplifies because 3 goes into 21. You can either box top it to get your whole number, but I'm going to do this to show you. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 21 7 times. Okay, so it's just 7/1 or 7. So problem number 6, the answer is 7. Let's look at problem number 7. I need to treat my absolute value as parentheses. So I'm going to do that first, and I'm going to leave my absolute value bars. But when I say 1 minus 8, I know I'm going to get a negative 7. I'm taking a moment to write the rest of my problem. Now, that negative 7 is saying how far from 0 is 7. And so I know this is tedious for some of you, but I just need to show you. It's saying, here's 0. How far is negative 7 from 0? It is 7 steps. So this is a positive 7 when it comes out of those bars. Writing the rest of my problem. Now, remember PEMDAS. I did parentheses, which were my absolute values. There's no exponents, no multiply or divide. I'm going to add and subtract from left to right. So I'm going to add my ghost 0. So I could put it straight through the calculator. And so 0 minus 4 gives me that negative number. So when I hit plus 18 and minus 7 to finish that problem, it tells me that my answer is a positive 7. Okay, we are almost done. Hang in there. Problem number 8, again with our PEMDAS. Let's take a look at what we should do first. There are no parentheses or exponents, but I need to multiply and divide whatever comes first. My division is going to come right here before my multiplication. This is important. Do not multiply first. You do whatever comes first, left or right, and division is coming first. So use that calculator and say 3 divided by 0.6, and you're going to get a whole number 5. That dot means multiply. So now we can multiply and get 60 plus 100. So we get 160. So this one was really very straightforward and fast. I like it. And last problem, number 9. Now number 9, okay? Number 9 does have an exponent first. There are no parentheses, so that is telling me, let me write PEMDAS. We have no parentheses, we're doing exponents. There is one negative, not 2 of them. There's only 2 5s because we only have to use the exponent on what's right in front. So we will do that first. So we get negative 25 divided by, now look, when I look at this problem, my other numbers are like decimals and whole numbers. So I'm going to change my 1/5 to a decimal, and I'm going to make this be 0.2. Okay, now I'm ready to do my multiply and divide step. I'm going to divide 25 divided by 0.2, and I'm going to get 125 plus 20 is 1. Oh, that's a negative 125. Oh, so I'm going to put a 0 in front of that. 0 minus 125. That will put that negative 25. So then when I hit plus 20, I end up with negative 105. Okay, I almost made a big serious mistake there. I'm glad I caught that. All right, guys, it was a lot, but I'm proud of you for those who stuck it through and wrote all your notes. I am worldly enough and have taught long enough to know that I will have those lazy kids that didn't do it. So those of you that did, I know you're ready for this test. I'm proud of you. Those that didn't, I hope you listened carefully and that you can recall on that memory. The test is coming up and it will be rigorous. We'll have some of